Greetings, Berkshire County, and thank you for joining us on iBerkshiresTV. Today, we are pleased to be joined by Town Administrator Ed St. John from Cheshire, and also their Board of Health member, Health Inspector, the Health Czar of Cheshire, CJ Garner. First of all, thank you guys for joining us. Ed, we'll start with you. You guys had a lot of stuff going on before this started. You guys were pretty busy. You had some construction projects coming up. You were sort of modernizing the DPW, so to speak. Why don't you talk a little bit about how none of that has stopped? I don't want to call it business as usual. I'm sort of calling it business as unusual. But you guys have sort of kept trucking along. Why don't you get into that a little bit, Ed, if you would?
Well, thanks, Jeff, for having us on. And that's exactly it. I mean, this is anything but business as usual right now. We're obviously operating in a different kind of world as we knew it prior to the COVID outbreak. But, you know, really, I think we're operating at a better clip than normal. We're operating, I think, better than we were prior to the outbreak. As you mentioned, you know, we have road construction projects going on. Maple Drive specifically is one of those projects that the town promised and made a promise a few years ago to the residents of that road. And after getting everything set up and situated, we're fulfilling that promise. So we're really happy to see that going on. It should be finished probably within the next week or so. So that's a great, you know, I think project to start the spring off on. Our highway department is operating now at full staff, which it wasn't prior to the outbreak. So we've got a great crew on and we're operating like, you know, really never before. They're going out there at, you know, as fast as they possibly can, putting tons and tons of gravel out on the roads and blacktopping. We were able to, you know, start it off at 116, blacktop 116, and we're hitting the roads as we go along. So they're really operating in a great clip. And really, thanks to the support of our residents, we were able to purchase a new to us road grader. And really, we've already started out on the gravel and dirt roads and made a significant amount of progress towards that way. Obviously, you know, it never stops, you know, in a small town and with the infrastructure needs, it really never stops. But, you know, we started off with a bang and have a lot of positive momentum going on that way. And as far as like town hall functions itself, we're really operating at increased rates as many of our staff members are not only doing what they did prior to the outbreak, but really stepping up to modify their normal functions just to accommodate certain precautions to make sure that everybody's safe and stays healthy. Our Council on Aging staff is just as busy as ever. We're making sure that all of our members are checked in on. We're providing meals on a regular basis in a curbside manner. Prior to the outbreak, we're offering you know, meals in the center itself, which had been steadily going up and more people were becoming involved. We're actually doing more meals curbside than we were in the center itself. So we're really happy to see that go on. You know, all in all, yes, this is incredibly stressful for people. But I just want everyone to know that we are working harder than ever to provide services for our residents and our visitors in our businesses in town. And, you know, I just want to really give a shout out to CJ and the Board of Health. I think that, you know, when it comes to their functions and keeping on top of this, they're absolutely knocking it out of the park. I couldn't, you know, from my vantage point, I couldn't be happier with the level of communication with them, with our fire and police chiefs, our emergency management director. And, you know, of course, we wouldn't be here you know, we wouldn't be here without Amalio Jacino, you know, and the entire Northern Berkshire EOC. In a situation like this, you know, clear and open communication is absolutely essential. And I think our group has really done a tremendous job with that. So, you know, as you'll probably hear more, I mean, that's, you know, that's what's keeping everything down. We're working very hard. We're keeping we're staying very vigilant on making sure that every resident is safe. And I think our numbers are showing that.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point there, because not only was the actual virus, it targeted the most vulnerable members of society, but all the services that those people normally got also had the potential to be hugely effective. And I know your Council on Aging and a lot of the area Council on Agings they've gone from here to here, and it's been amazing.
It's been great.
I happen to live right across the street from ours here in lovely old Adams. and they've had trucks pulling up, providing meals. And I went by one in Williamstown the other day. Same thing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, and they deserve a ton of credit for keeping it going and just churning day after day after day. And the promises, when towns say that we're going to redo a road, that is a promise. We're going to take your taxes, which everybody hates paying taxes, even in a town with a low tax rate as Cheshire.
Yeah. We're
going to take that money and put it to good use. And it is going to be used on roads, which is one of the most controversial is the word, but people want nice roads.
It's one of those things that's not glitzy or glamorous. Infrastructure is never the thing that draws the most attention, but it's something that everybody in town uses. If you go from one place, whether you're walking, biking, driving, you're using our infrastructure. So and that's part of what we wanted to do prior to the outbreak. We were developing a capital improvement plan, and we're going to see how we can, still operate off of that plan to make sure that our infrastructure is viable, and to make sure that it is working well for everybody who uses it. I mean, nobody wants to drive down a road with potholes 6 inches deep and 3 feet across.
And we were talking a little bit off camera, I was with a couple of Cheshire guys driving around town, and they did not know about the new grader. They don't necessarily keep up with all the news, but they said, wow, this road is actually smoother than it usually is. So yeah. It is working, and people are noticing it.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you.
And we'll go to CJ now. CJ is the Lord of Health in the town of Cheshire. CJ, it doesn't matter what size town or city you are, everybody has issues with this thing, some more than others. Talk about anything that has come up, how you've been handling it. Just give us a general update on what is happening health-wise in the town of Cheshire.
Yeah, I mean, be us a small little town, we're still pretty busy with all of this. The townspeople have done a great job keeping a cap on things, so to speak. Things have been moving forward in a sense that we're going to start to slowly reopen per governor's orders. But as throughout this whole pandemic, the town is just, I can't stress it enough. The town has done such a great job in remaining healthy, dealing with the stay-at-home orders, things like that. We're in constant communication with the Berkshire County Boards of Health Association. I'm on a conference call with them once a week. I talk to our public health nurse at least 4 times a week. Her and I are under a no news is good news line of communication. So if I don't hear from her, that's a good thing. Throughout this whole pandemic, we've kept our cases to 5 throughout the town of Cheshire, and I am proud to say that as of today, we have none. And that's huge. That's extremely important moving forward. I'm blown away at how well the town did throughout all of this. But we're far from out of the woods as we start to reopen businesses. Now is not the time to be lax. It's important to remain vigilant throughout all of this.
I know that as you're the point man, obviously for food service in town, mm-hmm. This I think has highlighted, sometimes the relationship between, say, a restaurant or a business and the certain inspectors that they deal with, whether it's a building inspector, health inspector, can be a little contentious. But I think throughout all of this thing, it's made people want to work more as a team together. I love, obviously, the Basswater Grill is a wonderful place. You're not filled with restaurants in Cheshire, but you do have a couple. Yep. How has your relationship been with them? Good to work with? It seems to be more of a team mentality among the private business owners and all the associated inspectors in town.
Yeah, the restaurants in town, they too have been doing a great job. I don't want to say, fortunately, we don't have many restaurants, but we are, in this case, fortunate because there's only a handful to keep an eye on. Basswater's done a great job with contactless pickup. You order, they put things in the vestibule, you go pick it up. You don't come in contact with an employee at all, and that's fantastic. Same thing with Whitney's. We don't think of Whitney's necessarily as a restaurant, but they are a food service establishment. You call in their order, they have it ready for you by the time you're there. It's on their patio. You pick it up, you leave, you don't come in contact. They're starting to open up their greenhouses, which I'm happy for them. This is their peak season. They need business too, and they're doing it the right way. They've got arrows on the floor. They've got entrances and exits. You're obviously required to wear your face mask, your gloves, your PPE, but they need to move forward too, and they're doing it the right way. I've contacted all the businesses in town, let them know if they need anything from us to reach out, which is important for them to do. If they have questions about guidelines, they know how to get a hold of us. We're not in the office as much as we used to, but I do go in and I check the phone often. But I've given my cell phone number out to whoever might need it, just so they can contact me and ask a question.
So again, you heard you heard town administrator. Now you're hearing the health czar. It's business as usual in Cheshire. If you've got stuff to do, they're keeping up with everything at town hall. One thing I didn't plan on mentioning, but it just dawned on me, and I'll go to Ed with this one. Any updates on the bike trail? How's that progressing? Do you know?
So it's progressing as planned, basically. If you drive down, you'll see that basically the entire trail from the Lanesboro side all the way up to Church Street is ripped up. It is closed off to riders, walkers, runners, and the like, but they are progressing on that. They're moving along, and I think, as far as I know, they're keeping on schedule.
That's
I don't
great.
know what they're going to do about going south from Lanesboro to Pittsfield, but at least in town, that is, like I said, keeping up as scheduled.
Yeah, I'm hoping to catch up with do one of these with Lanesboro and Kelly next week, I hope.
Yeah.
And as we end this, and guys, again, thank you for giving me, a little bit of your time. Every town is treating this differently with town elections, with town meetings, with the way they hold select. Every town is coping the best ways that they can cope.
Yep.
What is happening, Ed? Give us any final decisions been made. I think they have, at least with town meeting and town elections.
Awesome. Thanks for that question. Yeah. So town elections had been moved to June 1st. We actually, by a special act of the legislature, have to hold our meetings at the same day as the town of Adams because of the school district. So we worked with Adams and made sure that we scheduled on a date that we felt was good for health-wise, safety-wise, and ensuring that everybody's protected. We've been working very closely with the town clerk to basically, we've procured a number of personal protective equipment, PPE from FEMA, MEMA, all through that Northern Berkshire EOC. Again, I can't emphasize how great that partnership has been in working with us to do all this. So we've set up a significant amount of safety protocol to ensure voter safety and election worker safety. Basically, like, as CJ mentioned with Wendy's, we're going to have a door that you go in. There's going to be arrows. There's going to be stanchions that really keep everything separate. And then there's going to be a door that you go out. Obviously, we'll make accommodations. If you can't, there's a small step going out, but if you can't do that, we have accommodations that we can make for that. The voter pens, markers, and the voter stations are going to be sanitized and wiped down after every user. It's going to be, I think, well controlled and certainly safe. So we're going to be issuing more information to inform the voters, but we really encourage maximum participation. Want everyone to know that they will remain safe while coming out to vote. As an alternative, absentee or mail-in voting is absolutely encouraged as well, and we've been getting a decent response from that. So things are moving full steam ahead with that. As far as our town meeting, just this past Tuesday, the Board of Selectmen voted to postpone it past June 30th and really set it as a date to be determined. We're really waiting on state numbers because the largest, obviously, factor in a town meeting is setting up the budget, right? So we want to get the best possible data to inform our decisions in our budgetary process moving forward. So we've been working on a number of different models, but at the end of the day, really, the thought is until you have good, solid data, the models really don't mean much because who knows what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of shortfalls that might be backfilled possibly by federal aid, or state aid, or we don't know that whole landscape yet. So we're taking this, still up moving forward and still really wanting to push forward with, a lot of our capital improvement programs, and projects that we have. A lot of the entirety of Maple Drive was actually grant funded through Chapter 90. So, and that's something that we want to aggressively pursue moving forward, as well as more Chapter 90 projects to really improve our roads, as well as doing, preventive maintenance on the existing roads as they are right now.
So I think I'm safe. If we had to recap right now, Cheshire is chugging along. You guys
Absolutely.
haven't. I was saying to one of your counterparts, or sort of counterparts, Christine Hoyt, the other day, that the local towns, Lanesboro, Cheshire, Adams, the little bigger cities, North Adams, they seem to have missed about an eighth of a beat. When the first thing happened, everything seized up a little bit, understandably so.
Yeah.
But it just sort of fell into a nice, things are happening in Cheshire. People are following the rules. Projects are moving on. The only thing right now up in the air will be town meeting, but there are ways municipally to handle that. There are laws on the books on how to handle that. It's not a big deal. It has happened in years past in all these towns without a pandemic. Sometimes it just happens.
If I could just mention too, one thing that I was remiss in saying before is that there's been an exceptional, I think, leadership from the state, administration, from Governor Baker's office, the Lieutenant Governor, all the way down, our local delegation. The state legislature has been doing a phenomenal job in recognizing the complexities that, we have. I mean, just the basic functioning of town government was massively changed really on March 17th. And, moving forward, it just, the legislature really came together. The governor and the lieutenant governor showed exemplary leadership, I think, in, kind of providing a roadmap for towns to remain functioning. Obviously with, just like what we're doing now with this Zoom interview, we use GoToMeeting in Cheshire, and it's been working out great to still meet. We still carry on, the Board of Selectmen still carries on their business, and the residents still can, communicate with the board any concerns that they have. They can communicate with CJ and the Board of Health. I mean, everybody is still operating. So yeah, you're right. I mean, there was that kind of that pause right in the beginning where you kind of said, okay, how do we deal with this? But there's been a lot of work done on all facets of government levels, and I think it's just been really a great example of how community departments within the community work together, communities outside work together, and the communication really is absolutely key to this. So
I'm hoping that our federal leaders from both sides take a cue from the local leaders, because it has been amazing how regionally, even in our little corner of the world out here, people have been working together. I know I've been impressed by it. I'm actually kind of excited to see when this thing starts winding down, how a lot of this stuff might take hold permanently. People go, why on earth are we going through all this rigmarole? And I'm interested to see how things come out of this and how many changes come out of this. Yeah. But I'm also excited to get back to the community center and go to my Cheshire Selectmen's meetings.
Absolutely. No, we can't wait to see how things are going to operate. We're working on a reopening plan as it is. Again, waiting for more guidance. The governor issued his 4-phase approach and really reintroduced it on was it Monday or Tuesday? So, we're just kind of applying that to the town and really working on opening things back up, but making sure, in the end of the day, everybody's safe.
CJ, Garner, Ed St. John, I can't thank you guys enough. Hopefully I'll see you sometime in person soon. CJ, you know exactly where I want to see you soon, hopefully. God willing. But thank you guys so much for joining us. You're welcome anytime. If you ever got any news to get out there, you know how to get in touch with me, and we're here.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Take care.